continue with Saturnastra Lamina. This is chapter 10. After a long, drawling chat you barely bothered to follow, Regis turns to Irving and asks, "Why does the lad want to learn fletching?" It's in case our luck changes. In these turbulent times, one day you can be rich, and the next you can be dirt poor, and then having a crafting skill will be useful, you answer. I never thought of it like that, said Regis thoughtfully. And a sudden thought strikes Regis, and he says, "I don't remember seeing my servants move any of your personal belongings to your room." This is silly of me. I forgot to pack. When I heard this job offer, I came right away, you say, laughing nervously. You came from where exactly? Asked Regis. You think for a moment, and then the fairies give you an interesting idea. A tear falls from your eyes, and you pull a handkerchief, and you wipe a tear, and then say, "From Ray." "By the gods, forgive my indiscretion," says Regis, bowing. According to the fairies, Ray had just a few months ago been destroyed by King Bersament's army, and the reason why he had done so was still up for debate. However, according to the report sent by Marduk, Ray had been destroyed to discourage other rebellious feudals from rising up, and he had been chosen because he had no strategic worth or any economic significance. Bersament could easily do without it, and it was for this reason that the Queen of Society always made an effort to make her kingdom to make her city indispensable to the crown. And before starting your lesson, you take a few days to settle in, and you acquire a cache of expensive clothing and items from Melina in order to look the part of a wealthy widow. And Irving is the one who seems most uneasy with his new attires, and they constrict him, for lack of a better word, and you allow him to ditch them whenever he heads out into the barracks to practice fletching. And the blacksmith there is a merman named Glaucus, and he has extremely pale white skin which is sleek to the touch, and his voice is extremely high-pitched, and he has tiny rows of teeth, and his tiny eyes are red. Irving has never seen a merfolk, so he's naturally a bit intimidated by him, and after working with him for 2 hours, he's finally able to get over Glaucus' bizarre looks. And as for your new charge, she is an absolute angel, and she has large black eyes and long straight raven hair. And based on her tan skin, one of her parents must be a foreigner. However, her mother will always deny this, and her frame is that of a little ballerina, and she has long, delicate fingers. And after staring at her from head to toe, you decide that she is perfect for the fighting style you have been tinkering with. And the style has been created by the swordsman named Fiore de Liberi. And she would always wear adorable attire with plenty of ribbons and jiggling bells designed to distract her opponent. And her enemies would never take her seriously until it was too late. And she never had any student, and her fighting style faded into obscurity because it was too cute and too underhanded. And her true identity was completely erased when a guy published a swordsman manuscript using her title as his name. And in time, all her battles were attributed to that second-rate duelist. And you decide to teach Fiore that ancient swordswoman's fighting style, aka pretty fighting. It is your way of bringing Fiore di Lady back to life, and your Fiore at the moment is playing with a large porcelain doll, and she frowns when she sees you. I told Uncle that I don't want to play with swords, and I want to be a princess when I grow up, she says, the little 8-year-old Fiore. And you can be that, you just need to snatch yourself a prince, you say, smiling. I didn't know I could force a prince to marry me, she says, smiling. Sure, royals are married against their will all the time. And did you see the mad queen of Beraghetto marry Bersament because she loves him, you say, smiling. No, said Fiore, combing the hair of her white porcelain doll with her hand. But why must I steal a prince? Asked Fiore. Because princes can only marry people of royal blood, and the only way to get around that is to make you a queen, is to establish a new monarchy bloodline, you explain. Is that the only way? Asked Fiore. The only way for you, and your father's not going to bother to marry you to a prince, and even if one propositions you, his parents can easily dissuade him with the threat of poverty, and most princes of today are spineless cowards like that, but then again, nobody likes to work hard, if they can avoid it, you comment. And Fiore folds her arm and then says, "This conversation is becoming too honest for my taste, and do you speak to children often?" I try to work with all the time and smaller children as well, you say, taking a seat in front of her. And I still think you need to work on your manner, insists Fiore. It is a little bit to that, for that, you say, smiling. In all seriousness, are you here to teach me swordplay, are you not? Asked Fiore. Yes, you answer. And do you have any experience teaching? Asked Fiore. No, but I have some actual battle experience. So I know what works and what doesn't, and when it comes to swordplay, you explain. I guess you will have to do, said Fiore, sighing. Sorry, you're stuck with me, you say, frowning. You proceed to explain the ideals and uses of pretty fighting, and Fiore is not remotely amused with the concept of pretty fighting, even though it is a proper sword fighting style, and in the end Fiore yields mostly out of boredom. And you go to the room and pick out a training dress for the pretty fighting, and the skirt is a lot shorter than the one normally worn, and it comes with a single ribbon on the shoulder and a long ribbon slash on the waist, and it has put a belt and in the ribbon around the neck, and when Fiore sees the dress, she starts laughing hysterically, and she asks, frowning, and why aren't you wearing a dress? Because, oh, shut up, you snap. And your elegant rapier has swept hilt, and the other one you gave her had a pamper helm hilt, and the pommel of her sword has an iron-legged ribbon, and you spar a little with Fiore while teaching her the technical stance and other nonsense students seem to love so much, and by noon Fiore is sweating from head to toe, weighted down by her training dress. Panting, she asks, can we take a break? Sure, take off the dress and bathe and then eat, and we will continue our lessons later once you rest to your full. And while Fiore does it, you take your time and go to your room, and you have the maids bring in a clean cold water from the river for your bath. And even in your human form, you still are in the habit of bathing at least 4 times a day, and considering the source of the water, the maids are slowly growing to hate you. And even more so when they try to pass cat for bunny. And during that time, the fairies inform you of Irving's lesson, and he has been hammering all day, and Glago seems to think Irving has a talent for making arrows. In order to make them magical, he has been adding unique designs to the side of the arrowhead, and since he's just starting, he is limiting himself to simple shapes of squares, triangles, and stars. And Glago has other apprentices as well, and one of the last was a 15-year-old troublemaker, and he would ask Irving to show him how to make the items like 100 times, and the bard would never get anything done himself. Instead, he would hinder the progress of those around him. And since he was bothering Irving, the Bashmago murdered him when no one was looking, and they found his mangled remains within the cold of his workstation, and you could put a stop to these little impulse murders of the Bashmago, though frankly what he does with his eternity is none of your business. And now you converse with Irving while he tends to the goat and the horses as well, and later on you have dinner with Regis and the rest of the family and Irving. And as you expected, Fiore refuses to speak of her lessons, She at least respects your authority as a fighter, and her old instructor will never fight her in earnest. And if it wasn't for you using a plastic rubbery blade, Fiore would have been covered in stabs and wounds and cuts all over. After dinner, Irving goes to the library to look at picture books, and Fiore follows along, and from time to time a maid passes by to eavesdrop on their conversation. Regis tries to start a conversation with you, but however you feign sleepiness to get out of his presence, and the familiar tone he employs with you is a tad too annoying. And while Irving speaks with his new friend, you reach into your pocket and pull out a polished stone from the Sphynx, and you narrow your eyes and know that there's a slight crack down the middle, and the smooth edges of the polished stone are cracking in certain places. And you put the stone away and hope that it won't crumble to dust in the near future. A year and a half passes since I started, and Fiore has reluctantly made great progress with her pretty fighting, and Irving just about knows everything there is to know of different materials and designs used in the fletching career, and the lessons that remain are simply stylistic, and after much coaxing, Glagos gives Irving his journeyman's license ahead of time. In part, he had done so because all of his douche apprentices were dropping like flies, and the mysterious deaths that were occurring in his workshop were attracting unnecessary attention. And Glagos knew the source of the scourge, but he was naturally powerless to do anything about the Raven and the Bashmagos. Then again, Glagos was never allowed to choose his own students, and the Blacksmith Guild did not afford a non-human such liberties. And before leaving, Regis enters your room in shock. He asks, why are you leaving? Irving already has his license, so there's no need for me to linger, you respond. And also you see Irving bringing up the horses, packing with the supplies, and Regis asks again, but I thought you were happy here. I'm happy wherever I happen to be, and my happiness does not depend on my surroundings, you comment frowning, and Regis stands in your path. But what of your pupil? You have a duty, you have an obligation to fulfill as her teacher, insists Regis, following you out of the way. I am no longer on your employment, so I am no longer duty bound to teach her anything, you comment almost at the essay. If Regis bars your path with his body and rolling your eyes, you say, must we do it the hard way, and you are too old for such infantile games? And what can I do to force you to stay? Demands Regis, raising his voice. You see that tone you just used? I am out of here. Adios, you say, pushing aside. And Regis is surprised by your physical fortitude, and he seems a bit distraught as to what to do. And you gallop out of town at full speed with Irving, and once outside the Bashmagos manifests, and happily he says, I was afraid you were going to stay there forever. And you snore happily as you ride on, and you notice that a tiny horse and rider is following your trail, and you start to allow it to catch up to you. And Irving stops his horse when he notices that you're falling behind, and his coat bleeds happily, looking in the direction of the approaching stranger. And you sneer when you notice Fiore galloping on her mare, and she yells, wait, where are you going? It is about time we continue our journey, you say sternly. What journey? Why can't you stay? Asks Fiore. We have our reasons, you answer. What reasons? Asks Fiore. And the Bashmagos manifest, and the girl turns white as a sheet, and her mare neighs restlessly, noticing the fear of her rider. And the Bashmagos says, for starters, Irving is a magic user, and Lamina's not even human, and you folks will have found out eventually, and will left in order to avoid unnecessary problems, as it usually happens to my companions. I don't care that you're a magic user, and I bet my uncle won't care either because he likes you, Lamina, says Fiore. That is another reason why I left. I sense his growing affection for me, and I'm not in the mood to deal with that sort of nonsense, you say, folding your arms. So where does that leave me? Asked Fiore, pointing to her chest. It all depends on you, you say. I don't understand, said Fiore. If you are willing to forsake naming country, you are more than welcome to travel with us, though I must warn you there's a good chance that you will suffer a fate worse than death, should you choose to travel with us, you say sternly. I am not afraid of death, and I don't care about society, and good riddance to my family as well, said Fiore, pointing to her chest, and then to society. Fine, welcome aboard, you say, stretching your arms. Wait, you're taking this little girl with us, asked the Bashmagos alarmed. I don't see why not, you say, smiling. But she's a little girl, and she doesn't realize what she's doing, and one can simply forget sake everything on a whim, reviews the Bashmago. You're one to talk, you say, laughing. Nothing good will come of this, he repeats. Oh, before we leave, I need to go back and get my things, says Fiore, turning her horse around. I can't go with you. Bashmagos, go with her. And the others, and help her pick everything she needs for her little journey, you say to the Bashmago and the fairies. And the Bashmago leads trailing behind Fiore and rest of the nation, and he does not seem too thrilled about having an additional brat to your party. Siochi will make a good companion for Irving, and you set up Camneo the forest with the youth. And around noon, Fiore has returned, and she took with her a doll and a bunch of frilly clothing. And using your magic bag, the Bashmago packed everything that was not nailed to the floor that could be found in her bedroom, and he also looked at the bedroom where you were staying at, as well as Irving's room. And the Bashmago had developed quite a mischievous little thieving habit for a revenant. Then again, Regis had only paid you a pittance, and even when you auctioned in the room and boarding, and you were not the kind of girl to work for a pittance. Fall came, and with it came the heavy rains, and for some reason it was not stopping raining, and you decided to stop at the nearest town, and as you wander inside, you know the plague doctors were wheeling bodies outside of town. I think I would prefer to stay I think I would take my chances with the rain, said Irving grimly. We should go. I don't want to get sick or something, moans Fiore. The Bashmago gives a peripheral view over the bodies, and after noticing some similarities among them, he speaks out loud what you and the fairies are suspecting. These people were killed by a curse, not an illness. What sort of curse? Asked Irving. The kind that kills. Are you blind? Snaps Fiore, and she gets testy when she's scared out of her wits. And we should find the source of the curse and undo it to help these poor people, suggested Bashmago. There is no need, and you add, and based on the fairies, there are some lords on the way, and if we get involved, we might get targeted because of association, and I think we should stay in the inn until the rain does stop, and then get out of here really quickly. And you gesture to one of the undertakers, the one with a cool bird crow mask, and he asks in a gentle voice, yes, how may I help you? And we're looking for an inn, and do you know where we might be, you ask? You came at a bad time, my friend, and never mind the weather. It will be best to leave, even with the rains, he commands. And I figure as much, but I am traveling with children, so I can't afford to have them exposed to the elements any longer, you answer. I see, says the undertaker, and he sits for a moment and says, Go to the Berizo Inn. It is 5 blocks ahead, and then take a right. Continue walking until you see a sign with a yellow rooster painting on it. And the inn is a little old, but it has a stable for your mount, and the innkeeper's a friend of mine. Give him my name, Theory the Undertaker. Thank you, you say, throwing him a bag of golden coins. Theory picks it up and puts it in his pocket, and while walking by your side, the batchman will ask, was that really necessary? No, you say, looking on ahead. And you arrive at the inn just before the rain gets uber bad, and the gust of wind and the slight hail smashes against the window, and the innkeeper offers you the best rooms. And this one has 3 beds and a balcony to boot, and is located on the 5th floor. The second window gives you one lovely view of the river and the forest and the market and the lightning that is falling all around you, and the spidey inn is quite solid, made of stone and bricks. And while settling down, the fairies arrive with information of the town, and Fiona notices you talking to yourself and then asks, who are you talking to? The fairies, you answer, the fairies. That is actually a real thing, and it's a real one they make their presence known by touching things or writing something down, as Fiona. I wonder about that sometimes as well, commented Irving. Fairies do that from time to time, but the game of spooking humans eventually grows old, you say, Johnny, and you narrow your eyes and then pick up and close the curtains. Don't do that, said Fiona. I want to see the storm. There is, I would prefer not to see this storm, you say, lying down in the bed. And Irving goes restless for reasons that he cannot understand, and Fiona gets up and opens the window again, and she screams when she sees the batchmagos wearing the rotten flesh, and he has on his own phone when he saw the little girl running away. And before she runs out of the room, Irving detains her and he says, it's fine, that is just a batchmago pranking you, and he apparently has not outgrown such childish games. But what is it? How can he just appear like that? Is he also a magic user like you? Asked Fiona, and sitting up, you say, clinically speaking, the batchmago is what you would call someone who is no longer alive, and depending on his willpower or whatever, he can manifest the flesh and affect the world of the living. Oh, I read about that in the Vertebrae bestiary. You are a vampire, explains Fiona happily. What's a vampire? Asked the batchmago perplexed. It's a dead guy who likes to drink people's blood, you say, Johnny. Vampires do more than drink people's blood. They fly to the air and control the beasts, and they have super strength and super speed, says Fiona. And Irving raises an eyebrow to illustrate his disbelief, and he starts ignoring Fiona's rambling and begins to talk to his favorite goat. And you pay extra to have the little critter inside, and after having Fiona rave about vampires for a few hours, you comment, well, the batchmago is a revenant, not a vampire. What's the difference between one and the other? Asked Fiona. Well, revenants don't do the blood drinking thing. They also do not share the statutory limitations of vampires, you explain absent-mindedly. And you spend about 10 minutes explaining to Fiona everything there is to know about revenants, and the batchmago too paid attention, for it was the first time he had heard an explanation about his existence, and at a certain point he too starts paying attention when he notices that you're making things up. And as someone who belongs to the realm of the living, you can only speculate as to how dead people are supposed to work. In 5 days passed, and the rain would not let up, and the inn had slowly filled up with strangers. And for security purposes, the fairies advise you and your companions to wear plain clothing. And at first Fiona protests, but then she decides that prudence was the best course of action, and she did not find it too appealing the prospect of getting mobbed for wearing nice attire. And I sported a good herb attire, while you and Fiona were plain red dresses, red being the color of mourning in this continent. And since you were to spend more time in this town than originally planned, you decided to send the fairies to discover the local situation. And the town is called Caliobre, and instead of a mayor, it is run by a council of 10 heads of family, and the noble families also control the guilds and the economic system. And as of late, a plague has struck the noble household, and suspected foul play, the lords have come to investigate the situation. And contrary to popular belief, the lords are quite proficient in magic, and many secretly are warlocks. And this hypocrisy, for lack of a better word, is necessary for maintaining control over the continent. And they actively persecute mages who are not under the direct control of King Bersaman himself. And it is a team of such warlocks that are now staying in the inn. And whenever hunger forces Irving and Fiona to dine in the bar, they know the berserker lord staring daggers at them. And Irving comments below his breath, it is almost as if they can smell the magic in me. It's fine, you say, laughing. They're not here for us, and as long as we stay out of the way, nothing bad will happen to us. All you have to do is stay there and continue to look innocent, okay? The fairies and the ghosts too are behaving, and even the batchmago has not murdered anyone on a whim, and those stern-looking lords were too unnerving even for them, and today we note another new arrival. and he was dressed like a blind beggar. However, the speed of his step and the certainty of his movement betrayed his true identity. Even in his rags, you notice the carefully wrapped steel sword named Ulfhead, and the sword has unique magnetic properties because it was crafted from a meteorite fragment, and it is also said to have other powers, but you doubt the veracity of those tales. And the sword alone is a telltale sign that the warrior was Fornas, and he's a blind knight from the southern kingdom, and he's part of an unlikely alliance between the humans, the elves, and other species. And Fornas somehow notices you staring at him, and he looks up with his clear, milky white eyes and his mouth. And you give an awkward smile and turn your shield around to avoid looking at him, and the lords exchange glances and some of them chuckle. And while returning to your room, you stumble on your dress, and you scratch your knee on a nail, and pouting, you say, ouch! And the Batchmago comments, it is probably the evil eye of that servant well, and she has been staring daggers at you since the first day you came in. What for, you say, frowning. Who can say, said the Batchmago, yawning. And when night falls, you notice a strange fire beneath the tree, and it is visible even through the heavy rain. And your observations are distracted by Fiora frantically turning the room upside down, and she says, my doll is gone missing. My pendulum is gone too, comments Irving. Well, tough titicaca, you add. It is a good thing that those items are imprinted, and they will be returned to us one way or another. Imprinted, what's that? Inquires Fiora. It's like a curse, explains Irving, and whenever I look at my pendulum from a certain angle, I start seeing those strange monsters for a bit, and if I see them again in the pendulum, they disappear. You didn't curse my dolly too, asks Fiora, crying. No, your dolly's fine, you say, petting her head, and you add, I put a vial of bone dust in her dress, and all I have to do is follow one of the spooks to its location. Well, let's get to it then, because I'm afraid without her, says Fiora. And you take her hand and you follow along the ghost, and Fiora chooses not to see the ghost, and she is also not pure heart. And Irving follows behind, and as you walk further, the Batchmago finds a place to manifest in the flesh, and he wordlessly joins your party. And the Pisces attempt at discretion, about 10 people saw the Batchmago materializing out of thin air, and these people have already snitched at the lords who are doing their best to follow after you, and the fairies guide you to a shack in the outskirts of the town, and you unceremonially kick the door down, and the occupant, the maid from the establishment, looks startled. You know the creepy shrine with a stolen doll and a lock of your hair, and sighing you say, what did I ever do to you? Is that what it looks like? She started. Well, no matter. Irving, take Fiora outside, you say, and Irving awaits and closes the door behind you, and the Batchmago walks forward, and he chokes the maid to death. And as usual, you turn a blind eye to this proceeding, and once outside, you know the three lords and Fornas coming towards you, and Fornas asks, did you kill her? No, she killed herself, and it was not enough to steal from me, but she also had the nerve to curse me and my children, and that sin alone is unforgivable, you say, leaving with the doll under your arm. And what happened to the girl, asked Fiora? Nothing, you say, giving back the doll, and Fiora wraps the doll inside her clothes to keep it from getting further wet. And for the following week, the lords go from home to home, cracking down on witchcraft, and after burning all the witches, and the storm finally dissipates, and you frankly do not approve of wrongfully burning witches, still you understand the ritualistic purpose of such an execution, and it was necessary to lift whatever curse they may have casted upon the unwilling populace. Alright, so that's the end of that chapter. Bye bye and God bless.